Hello. Good evening, everyone. This is C. Pal Singh, President NISSMAT at this end. I extend a very warm and hearty welcome to all the delegates, particularly to our eminent speaker. NISSMAT has been conducting webinars and interactive sessions for the last about 2 years. And in this process, I like to submit that when we conduct a webinar, we normally have 2 speakers. For the interactive session, we have normally 1 speaker. An interactive session is addressed by 1 speaker who is proficient in his subject, and he interacts with these delegates, and the time is devoted for interaction. I like to go further to say a few words about NISSMAT. NISSMAT was started in 1990, about 3 decades back. We started training courses in safety, security, applied technology, and management. With the passage of time, NISSMAT has become a think tank, an organization which has an association of more than 85 scholars, and we conduct webinars, seminars, training online, and audits. NISSMAT has been divided by us into 4 segments. First is NISSMAT Forum, where we conduct webinars, interactive sessions, seminars, awards, functions. The second is NISSMAT Education, online training. And third is NISSMAT Enterprises, where we have audits, surveys, and international relationships. And the last is a social forum, that is a NISSMAT Foundation, that is somehow or the other to inculcate the society at large the need and importance of law and order, and that will be introduced by us with the passage of time, so that all the resident welfare association, etc., are addressed by us and are made to learn about what is happening on the law and order front. After having spoken these few words about NISSMAT, I'd like to say a few words about General Mehta, who is a moderator of this session. General Mehta belongs to the 3rd generation of Army, and he has seen action on the front in North and J&K, and was wounded also. General Mehta is a prominent soldier cum scholar. People value his views, and we have associated him with us for the purpose of getting his views and getting his knowledge about our NISSMAT webinars and interactive session, as well as for our enterprise. Having introduced both the subject and NISSMAT as well as the moderated, I'd like to say a few words on the subject as such. That is, the subject introduction is the new cauldron, that is Taiwan, the new cauldron, its strategic importance and implications. Taiwan is officially known as Republic of China. It is an island separated from China by Taiwan waterland. It has its own democratically elected government having approximate population of about 23 million. However, the People's Republic of China, that is the Peking, views this island as a renegade and wants to eventually unify Taiwan with the mainland. The recent visit of Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives to Taiwan, created a big commotion. The visit evoked a strong Chinese response. The Chinese Foreign Ministry condemned this visit. It stated that it can cause serious damage to peace and stability, not only in Taiwan states, but also in the region as such. China initiated even some military operations and exercises around Taiwan and sparked off air and sea drills near about Taiwan, which raised hackles and serious concerns all over the globe. That is, the possibility of war in this area could affect the entire world's security, and hence the global community alarm. Besides the security concern, the global economic concern was also the consideration. China has a significant position in the world economy, both in imports and exports. Further, if the conflict somehow or other breaks out, and if sanctions are imposed on China by US as a retaliatory measure, this can damage the international finances because the flow of US dollar would be adversely affected. As far as the Indian economy is concerned, Taiwan is perhaps the biggest manufacturer of semiconductors and electronic equipment. And India depends on these semiconductor equipment entirely on Formosa, that is the Taiwan. The world is still trying at this juncture to revive the economy after the Ukraine-Russian crisis and other crises like situation in Taiwan shall seriously impact the industries as well as the security climate in the area. In a meeting of Association of Southeast Asian Nations sometime back, the Cambodian foreign minister called for maximum restraint and warned that army drills around Taiwan could lead to miscalculation and serious confrontation in the region. In fact, 5 of Chinese missiles fired in an exercise landed in the main waters belonging to Japan Economic Zone. This probably also was meant to convey a message to Japan and warn Japan that it should not interfere in China's internal affairs. Internal affairs means between China, mainland, and Taiwan, they consider it an internal affair. The South Korean president even did not meet Pelosi when she was in Seoul as a fear. It was a fear complex from the Chinese reaction. This war of words, that is statement by US President in the Quiet Summit recently in Tokyo, he suggested that any attempt by China to invade Taiwan would attract American military intervention. This angered China considerably. This war of words can create a serious security threat in the region. I would like to say that Taiwan at the moment is sitting on an explosive which, if and when ignited, shall affect the number of countries both strategically and economically. With these words, I would like to pass on the session to the moderator of today's session, General Deepak Mehta.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. Before I ask the eminent speaker to take on the subject, a few words about the president and the chairperson of NISSMAT. Mr. C. Pal Singh is the president of NISSMAT, as he mentioned earlier. He joined the Central Police Service in 1962. He underwent the initial training at the Central Police Training College at Mount Abu in Rajasthan. Subsequently, he joined the prestigious National Police Academy at Hyderabad, where he completed the advanced police course. He has served on a number of senior police appointments in a number of states in India. He was made responsible to raise a new police force, that's the Rapid Action Force, to curb and take action against the communal riots. He was the first chief of this elite force. In recognition to his outstanding performance during his service, he was decorated with a number of awards, they being the President's Police Medal for Distinguished Service, the Indian Police Medal for Meritorious Service, the Police Special Duty Medal with bar, that is got it twice, Sena Medal by the Army, and a number of commendations and rewards thereafter. After retirement, he was conferred with the prestigious award, the Security Personality of the Year by the President of India in the Global Security Conference. Presently, he is the advisor, Asian Professional Security Association, India chapter. He is the Honorary Director General of the Central Association of the Private Security Industry, the CAPC, Central Association of the Private Security Industry, India, and Association of the Private Detective Investigators, India. A few words about the chairperson, Captain Pavanjit Ahluwalia. Pavanjit was commissioned into the elite parachute regiment of the Indian Army. He took voluntary retirement very early in his service and ventured into the business world in an unknown area. As a businessman, he's forthright. He doesn't mince his words when it comes to actual words. He is an inspiring leader and carries his team along with him. I can talk for him. On a lighter vein, during the commander course, we were buddies, and I found him totally focused on the course. He is adept to creating alliances. He has created a business group under the name of Ahluwalia Holdings Private Limited, which has a number of offices in multiple places, both in India and abroad. He is the president of the former he was the president of the former chairman and the former chairman for the Council of International Investigations, USA. He is an awardee of the Mayor Thompson Award and also Kautilya Award for his. Coming down to the speaker, Major General S.V.P. Singh. Major General S.V.P. Singh is an alumni of the prestigious Rashtriya Indian Military College, Dehradun, the National Defense Academy, the Indian Military Academy, and he's commissioned in the Regiment of Artillery in December 1970. He's a veteran of 1971 Indo-Pakistan War. He has a close to 4 years of experience in key leadership roles at the both conceptual and the directional level in the military operations. He held the coveted appointments of the command, staff, and active combat areas. He had attended the courses at the National Defense College, the College of Defense Management, and the Defense Services Staff College. His staff appointments encompass both general staff, administration, and logistics in J&K and the Northeast. He has commanded his regiment in Punjab during the peak of insurgency. He has commanded a brigade in a very big military area. And as a Major General, he was looking after the complete artillery in a command zone. Besides that, he was also the Additional Director General of the Artillery at the Army Headquarters. He has been to the faculty of the College of Defense Management in the field of Human Resource Management and the Army War College. He has attended a large number of courses. He's done the courses Advanced Management Programs in Strategic Management at the MDI, that's Independent Director course, the Media Communication for the Indian Institute of Mass Communication, and Disaster Management from the National Institute of Disaster Management. He is a member of the Mohan Parikar Institute of the Defense Studies and Analysis and the United Services Institution of India. He is a recipient of the Vishesh Seva Medal for his distinguished service in 1999. He is a frequent person on the TV on matters military. Request General S.P.P. Singh to carry on, please.
At the outset, I must thank Team NISSMAT, Shri Sipal Singh, Captain Pavanjit Ahluwalia, and Major General Deepak Mehta. And in particular, General Mehta, you have been very kind, and in the words which you have spoken, and I acknowledge in humility. I also wish the delegates who are participating in this session, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, from whichever place you are. So the subject of my talk, Taiwan, the new cauldron, and what its strategic implications and importance are. You see, few geopolitical contests are as asymmetric as between China and Taiwan as they are. China commands an overbearing demographic, industrial, economic, and military domination over its opponent. So it is more a story of David and Goliath. Taiwan's future has profound strategic implications for the Asia-Pacific region. For China, the reunification of Taiwan is a matter of supreme national interest, for which China must be prepared to fight at any cost. However, most Taiwanese do not want to become a part of a China which is ruled by the Communist Party. The strategic importance of Taiwan and the Taiwan Straits is in its maritime trade, the energy needs which it meets through trade, and the connectivity. It is the gateway for the United States to Korea, to Japan, through Taiwan Straits, East China Sea, and the Sea of Japan. And so it is the pivot for China in the first island chain of the countries in Southeast Asia. Beijing considers, you see, it is the story of South China Sea basically, and Beijing considers it as its fiefdom and believes in denial of the global commons by violation of the law of the seas. And how it is doing so is because it takes advantage that the United States failed to join the UN Conference on Law of Seas. So that is its justification. So what it implies is that whoever controls Taiwan and Taiwan Straits can shape the geopolitical landscape of the Asia-Pacific region. With the ongoing Russian-Ukraine war and activation of Europe and the NATO, Taiwan has emerged as the second center of gravity in the world, a cauldron in making, which may define the direction of the new world order. And when I say this, the direction of the new world order, it is the emerging China, today the second largest economic power, the second largest military power, and till this moment, the largest population. And it feels very disappointed that India will be overtaking them in population, because population is a very major resource for great and big powers. So Taiwan Strait in the present context remains a flashpoint and a very dangerous one. Tensions have been on the rise again. As mentioned by Shri Sipal Singh, is the visit of the House Speaker, Nancy Pelosi. You know, perhaps Nancy Pelosi visit could be compared with its dangers compounded to the Archduke Franz Ferdinand, who was assassinated in 1914 in Sarajevo, and he was advised not to go there. He was belonging to the Austro-Hungary Empire, and he was the crown prince. So Pelosi visit had dangers as inherent as her. Maybe she is the strong person for what conviction she undertook this sojourn. So it is to argue that the United States, in the present context of history, as well as the future world, cannot afford to lose Taiwan. It will continue to do its uttermost to defend Taiwan in the context of increasing competition and rivalry with China. On the other hand, China is determined to absorb Taiwan and make South China Sea a China lake, as a Chinese lake, and carve out a vast economic empire across the global south to begin with. What about India? In the present context of the world arena, I would say we are the fulcrum. On the one side is the United States and the West, and on the other side is Russia and China. It's a balancing act which we have to do, and in relation to Taiwan, India has to think hard to dehyphenate India-Taiwan and India-China. So as I go along, I will like to cover, or I'll be covering, firstly the brief historical perspective, why it is where we are today. And then I will come on to the strategic implications, which I will be covering later, a little later, with the help of maps. And then it is the watershed moment of the current times, the Pelosi visit, what it has done. And it will merge into the military angle, what all is there in the theater there, and what could happen for the future. And lastly, I will touch on the contours which are emerging in the Indo-Taiwanese relations. So firstly, on the historical perspective, you see, Taiwan at one time was called the muddied waters by one of its emperors in China. But its history, China traces it to 300 AD. That it's from the Fujian province, some of its people had gone there. But then we come closer to the middle of the 17th century, when the Dutch had come there. They ruled for about 43 years, and then they were thrown out by the Qing Empire, the Manchus. And then Manchus ruled till 1895, till they were defeated by the Japanese, and the Japanese ruled Taiwan up to 1945. That is the end of Second World War. Now, I want to mention here in the historical perspective, here the role played by the Republic of China at that time, which was formed in 1911, 1912 by Dr. Sun Yat-sen and taken over by Chiang Kai-shek. They supported, they were the hammer and the anvil for the Allied forces in the Pacific. So China had played a very important role for the United States and the Allies in the Pacific. When the United Nations was formed in 1945, I would like to tell you that Franklin Roosevelt gave number 4 priority for Republic of China to be a member of the United Nations. France was number 5 because of its role. So after the war, till 1949, when Chiang Kai-shek got defeated and fled to Taiwan after the Civil War, when he went to Taiwan, the Americans had realized that there are 2 poles now, the communist and the Western world. So they felt that Taiwan, as MacArthur called it, the unsinkable carrier, will serve their purpose as a strategic node. No doubt it had played a role in Second World War also. So that is the American interest. Till 1961, Chiang Kai-shek had dreams of annexing back the mainland. He called it the mainland. And he had a very strong army, and he was depending upon the United States to support him for that invasion. But in 1961, John Kennedy, he gave a simple message, forget this. And hereafter, till 1979, you see, till Chiang Kai-shek was there, he dropped the idea of his army and he went to create sea and air resources and power on the lines of island nations, Great Britain and Japan. 1971 and 72, actually 72 when 71 when China got admitted into the United Nations in October, and then they marked the landmark years. Thereafter, 1972, 79, and 82 were the 3 communiques, joint communiques between America and China, which had a bearing. And in 1979, under Jimmy Carter, Taiwan was de-recognized, and America gave recognition to China, which had joined the UN. So this was the relation where you can say that America has had some shifting sand dune-like stance over Taiwan. So this is where we came to, and that is why today Taiwan remains a major bone of contention, where China says that they have to reunite, and Taiwan, which had a dream at one time of getting back the mainland, they've dropped it. But I would like to tell here, the national aims of the People's Republic of China and the Republic of China, which is Taiwan, are in convergence on many issues. And first of all, it is on the national boundaries. Even Republic of China feels that Tibet, right up to Afghanistan, is part of China nation. So we must keep this in mind because it has strategic implications. So from here on, I get on to my first slide, where I will start covering the strategic implications of Taiwan. Yes, next slide. Next. So you see the Taiwan straits which are there in front. It explains to you what I said, the South China Sea, the importance and where it leads to. So China on the left, separated between Taiwan and China separation is 100 miles, varying say about 160, maximum 180 kilometers. So that is it. And Taiwan is about 36,000 square kilometers, a small, tiny nation, an island nation, surrounded out here by 5 nations of Southeast Asia. Next slide. So this is what Taiwan is. The 5 nations of Southeast Asia, they are the prize which China seeks in South China Sea. Now, when I'm showing this map, I would like to call your attention that it is surrounded by sea, being an island nation. East China Sea on the northeast, the Pacific on its west, the Luzon Straits in the south, and the Sea of Philippines also, then South China Sea. If you see the map, Chungyang Shanmo, that is the mountain range. And let me tell you that the height varies average 3,000 meters, and that is between 9,000 to 12,000 feet. Their highest peak is 12,000 feet plus. This terrain has got jungles and forested terrain as well, apart from mountains. And the western portion and little northern portion is crisscrossed by rivers, and the maps would be indicating to you that. So, and they got some canal systems. So in any military operation, it is not easy to annex the mainland of Taiwan. That's the point which I was making. Now, the next slide I would like to cover. Okay, what are the claims of China? Because China, it has got a grand strategy. The grand strategy is to have a vantage point in both the Pacific and Indian Ocean. And for that, South China Sea is crucial because it is the bridgehead between the Indian Ocean and the Pacific Ocean. Strategic importance of Taiwan emerges from here because it is critical, both the Taiwan and the Taiwan Straits. It impacts the naval and commercial passage of the ship liners. If China controls both, it would have a stranglehold on the waterways. China's 9-dash line dream would become enforceable. Incidentally, they had 11 dash lines when they became when PRC came to power. Slowly they went to 9. Now, what is its dreams? Its aim is to reclaim full power over Taiwan. In the same way, if I can give another European example, as Austrian anxious that moment in 1938 when a referendum was held and Austria became part of Germany, and that was the first step towards Second World War. So domination by People's Republic of China of South China Sea would become equivalent of something like German militarization of the Rhineland, which started in 1934. And that's what China is seeking. It is seeking revisionism, it is seeking hegemonism. The United States sees, on the other hand, sees Taiwan as a strategic node for projecting its power in East Asia and maintain its influence in Indian Ocean, particularly the Eastern Indian Ocean and the Pacific region. So it seeks freedom of navigation, which is very important. So it carries out joint exercises. It carries out Malabar exercises. So, and in the present context of China's rise, United States under Trump has made a statement that they may be revisiting the One China policy. So you see, strategical importance. I have not really touched upon the natural resources which are existing, which are well known. 90% of the area South China Sea, China claims, which is 3.5 million square kilometers, oil, gas, fisheries, and other food which could be available from the sea resources, they are all there. So that being so, China's first step is to come and clear this first line of first island chain, which is showing in the U form. Next slide, please. Now, what is it next chain? It has China sees to dominate, establish bases in the future to dominate Pacific Ocean by the 4 island chains. First one I've covered to you. Now the second one, the line extending from central Japan through Iwo Jima, Guam, and Caroline Islands, joining up Papua New Guinea. Now this is there. It comes closer to Australia. The third island chain, which is extending from the outer Aleutians, that is Attu and Kiska, south through Wake Islands and through to Marshall Islands, terminating in the Solomon Islands, northeast of Australia. Now it is here, you imagine Solomon Islands has been in news. It has sent some tremors in the Western world to the United States, particularly to Australia. Australia fears if it comes so near, and they are calling this 2,000 kilometers distance from Solomon to Australia as near. Just imagine what Japan, Taiwan, and South Korea and other Southeast Asian nations are facing from China. It is not only Taiwan. So I have expanded the scope in explaining the strategic implications of what is to come in the future. And for that, India has to be an understudy to cater for its own strategic needs. And then the next four, and the fourth chain is extending from Adak, which is, south of Alaska, and it comes through to Midway and then into Gilbert's Island. Now, Gilbert's Island is 6,670 kilometers from the Chinese mainland. Next slide, please. I am showing you the reach of Chinese surface-to-air missiles and the cruise missile systems, not only on Taiwan, but it is covering, as you would see, if you go to the rightmost extent, which I said, which will be Gilbert Islands, they can cover with their DF-26 anti-ship ballistic missiles. China today is able to cover Guam, which is a major United States base, with its H-6K bombers. The range 3,000 kilometers from Fujian province. So you can see what is the coverage which China has, not only with its short-range ballistic missiles, inter-range ballistic missiles, it is the intercontinental ballistic missiles as well. Okay, next please. Now, before I come on to the visit of Pelosi, I will say this is a very good indicator where China stands in the Taiwanese heartland. And why I'm showing this is because there has been a very extensive 3-war strategy followed by China. The 3 Ws, psychological, political, and legal, getting into the mind of the people, politically showing what is the actual historical fact. And in that, China has been very active to underplay the Taiwanese. But look, from 1992, as the chart is showing, up to 2021, 1992, only about 18 to 20% Taiwanese were thinking that they are Taiwanese. But in 2021, over 60% Taiwanese now feel we are Taiwanese nationalists. So nationalism in Taiwan is on the rise. Then there's an element who consider that we are both Taiwanese and Chinese. Yes, no doubt, because the male population in Taiwan was from the Chinese origin. And lastly is those who think who are Chinese, the graph has come down from about 25%. I think it's barely 2% or 3%. So it's 3W strategy as of now, as per this survey. has not been the success which is thinks it should have been. Okay, so now I'll cover, you can follow the slide now. Now I'll come to Pelosi visit. You see, as I told you, it was that moment of 1914, so which America did very well. They put up a facade that both the chairman, joint chief of staff, and the president dissuaded her to visit, but there was a hidden agenda, and we know that. And they did very well. When the tour program was made, Taiwan was not included among the nations. She was going Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, and South Korea. But come 2nd August, she landed under high security, very well covered airspace, and very well covered the route to Taiwan. And Americans did well. They had compromised the electronic systems of the Chinese during this time. And that is where the American intelligence, which has played such a stellar role in Ukraine, stands out today. Now, this was a very high-level delegation. The Speaker of the House, the second speaker to visit after 1997. China had made a lot of war cries on this. There should be no such visit. I think those war cries were not warranted, were not required, because delegations keep coming. And after Pelosi visit also, we have had as many as 2 delegations of America visiting them. One was 12 days after that, and one was early September. There 5 to 8 members of the US Congress have visited, including Republicans. And there have been 2 governors of Arizona and Indiana who have gone to Taiwan very recently. One is, I think, on 7th September. And so that is on. Japan's delegation has come officially. So to that extent, Xi Jinping, having made noise that to dissuade, has not been successful. But it produced a lot of anger, unprecedented, and it followed military exercises, targeted military operations, and it has brought about a new normal there. Now, visit is in wake of 2 major events, I will say, and we are well acquainted with that. One is the midterm elections in the United States itself. Biden post-Afghanistan has shown some strength to support Ukraine. Perhaps whether it is right or wrong reasons, time will tell. But Putin, I think, has helped him to get NATO out of its graveyard, and they have united. And second is the election in China itself, the 20th People's Congress, where Xi Jinping wants to get the 3rd term and get crowned as the Red Sultan of China for life term. Australian Kevin Rudd, the former Prime Minister, said it is life term. He said that he looks forward to be there till at least 2037. So maybe the astrologers may have predicted that he will be alive and around. Now, so it was all basically show of power projection by America in this case. Now, what it has done militarily, it's created a new normal, crossing of the median line. China doesn't recognize the median line anymore. Let me tell you, median line came into force in 1954. There was the Air Force General Davis who defined it. Earlier it was known as the Davis line, and now it is the median line, and that no more holds good. The inner territorial waters and the 24 nautical mile waters, they have also been compromised. So that is the military action by China. They launched missiles from Fujian and Jiangxi, which went over Taiwan, came into the EEZ of Japan. It was to test the Japanese reaction. And it is that China has challenged the United States this time. We call it the 4th strait crisis. They have challenged. Why? Because the gap between the military and economic capabilities of 2 nations has closed considerably. So China is in position to do what they did in this military drills which they carried out. they practiced anti-access and anti-denial drills of possible ingress by United States forces. They tested Japanese, how they would get involved. They carried out aerial refueling exercises. They employed their major air component. And in this, one air component, J-20s, which is compared with F-35, did not come out. So that they held it back. They carried out, I said, air refueling exercise. Aircraft carrier was also not mobilized. So, but the strategic support force was activated, and very intensive cyber and disinformation campaigns were carried out. So this is the effect of Speaker of the House Pelosi visit. Now, Taiwan, on the other hand, has increased its military budget. It will do so by 14%. It is dropping its howitzers supply and requested for HIMARS to come in, which have played a very major role in the Ukraine war. And HIMARS, 18 of them would be coming to them, apart from the $1 billion aid which has come their way. Now, the principal drivers in all this has been, that CCP, why have they done this is they have to stay in power. They want to have maximum influence. And China has therefore stoked high degree of nationalism in their country. And if China ever drops the Taiwan claim, the whole CCP goes down the drain. It will not only be end of Xi Jinping, but of CCP. So main aim is national rejuvenation in China. And they have achieved that very capably. Economically, what China has done, they have imposed little sanctions. They carried out blockades, 7 zones they covered. And in that, food products, including processed foods, which they had never done earlier, fish and all, they banned its import to China. They have banned export of sand to Taiwan, which is a major requirement for semiconductors. So politically, militarily, we have seen what has happened. And now let me just cover the military angle after having covered what military actions they have taken. What has done?
May I intervene just 3 minutes more, sir?
Okay, give me a plus 2 minutes more. Artillery can always request time extension. So now I'll cover the, you see, in this entire exercise, America has achieved a military aim. Both eastern and southern theater commands of China were activated. So all the blips, all the right picks have been done, how they mobilize, how they carry out mobilization, how they would be undertaking the operation. All their blockade which they have done this time has come to light. So this is perhaps a major advantage which America has come home with. Now, having covered this, America, we know, has got the Indo-Pacific Command. They got a major force at Guam. They got 55,000 troops in Japan. They got 35,000 troops in Korea. So there's a force in B. So now what happens to the Indo-Taiwan relation? Dehyphenate Indo-Taiwan and India-China relations? It's a very significant impact which is taking place on our Act East Asia policy. India needs to lift itself, now I feel, from its self-imposed constraints on our Taiwan policy. When Sushma Swaraj became foreign minister, she raised the issue of one China policy. Yes, India has accepted that, but then what about one India policy? It's very, very important. Our bilateral trade with Taiwan needs to be enlarged. And in a few years, about 2 years back, it was 2 years back, the survey had said that $20 billion in a couple of years. So, but we are still far from that. Now, Taiwan, has plans to move its manufacturing bases away from China. Those are our plans. So, India and Southeast Asian countries are the destinations. We must grab those opportunities. Taiwan has got lesser population. Population is a problem with them. Fertility rate is down. They need skilled workers, and Taiwan being the technological hub of the world, a superpower. We got the skilled power. We must send our people there. We must make use of the universities and research. That's a very major role. And we must exploit the fault lines of China, Tibet, Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Taiwan. We don't allow Uyghurs to visit us. We should give them visa to make a visit. It's very important. We must play more. We are now active in Quad, but I feel that we must have a better role, a stronger role. We consider defense alliance, even with Japan. We should do that, and boost our engagements in South China Sea. After all, we got 5 oil rigs there, out of which 3 have become active in the Vietnam area. So Vietnam is another powerful player there, which keeps very, very quiet and neutral. They know how to play the game well, and none of these Southeast Asian nations want to annoy China. And when China gets annoyed, it plays with its military drills. So I think General Mehta has been very kind to me to give me that extra minute. And last 1 minute I'll take from the commanding officer. It is there in this thing, and that is, we must try to consider our parliamentary delegations going to Taiwan. We must try to consider the free trade agreement with Taiwan, and we must consider a policy of engagement and dialogue at mid-level of officials with Taiwan. That's very important, because sharing of intelligence and non-traditional threats is very important. And actively exchange on the health ground. Look, Taiwan achieved so much in the COVID times. So, I have covered a few things. I may have left out some in my thought process. Lastly, I would say, if there's a war, there are 2 options only. Firstly, wisdom of China, which is a wise nation, 100 years planning by Mao Zedong. Option 1, it'll be a cardinal sin. It'll be a folly if they go to war. But there are 2 options. One is carry out maritime action, that is blockades, use your submarines, and that has got it'll invite major American, at least show of force. And option 2 will be the broader sub-regional war, in which the missile warfare, the air warfare and all become very active. Having said that, without trying to sum up, which I leave to General Deepak Mehta, but we have covered out all the aspects, and basically they sum up that we have to watch out for China. We have to watch out for China on our northern borders. That is very important. Yesterday's news that they are withdrawing from PP-15, the Gogra line. But let me tell you, it is because of Taiwan, that pressure which is there. They are trying to play into Indian minds that they are withdrawing. What is this withdrawal? When they come up with permanent infrastructure, they made cantonment-like infrastructures there, permanent emplacements. So this is just again putting powder in the eye. So with that, for India, we must build a comprehensive national power economically. And for that, we are doing very well, leaning both to America and the West and maintaining a balance with Russia. And I think that should take India forward. And Taiwan, I feel there will be no war, and it will linger on like this. Taiwan is left with, I think, only 14 days gas reserve and about 140 days of oil reserve in the present blockade. So there are major stakes for them, and US will have to come and support them. Thank you very much for kind extension of time, General Deepak Mehta.
Thanks, sir. Very well done. Any questions by anyone, please? So I have a question for you, sir. You spoke about the China policy. There's something known as China principle also. What is the distinction between China principle and China policy in relation to Taiwan, sir?
It's a very good question, Deepak. But I think this is the cost I am incurring of having extended the time and you shooting this question. You see, both are not the same. One China policy is what America advocates, and one China principle is what China advocates.
Correct.
And China, it's very clear. Principle, we have studied physics, the laws and all. So when it is a principle, it's a law. It's a legal tenet in that. So China's one principle is that Taiwan is the legal part of People's Republic of China, notwithstanding that People's Republic of China has never ruled or governed Taiwan. It was Republic of China, Chiang Kai-shek. But it is their sense of history. We can call it manufactured sense of history. We can say deep study of history where they claim on it is there. On the other hand, the one China policy, this is where the twist is. And this is where, the calligraphy is with the artist and twisting the words is with the diplomat. And this is what they have done, the one China policy. It contains more elements. For example, US interest is in a peaceful process of cross-strait resolution. They go by the three communiques, 72, 79, 82, which China also does, but the interpretations are different. You see, in 1982, when it was basically to say, that, we are together and all our diplomatic relations, cultural relations are well developed. America, Ronald Reagan, that time the president, he had a note in which there were 6 assurances shared with Taiwan. They were shared in the Congress later. And these 6 assurances told Taiwan, because they had the diplomatic relations in 1979, and Chinese interpreted that now one China principle is in vogue. But China said in 1972, when the relations were being established, UN, the first communique came, that China said accepts one China, but America said acknowledge. So this is the first jargon which has been played around. America says we acknowledge one China, but we don't accept. China says accept, but America says acknowledge. So look at the difference, how we can be very particular with words. Now, the second is, so this 6 assurances told in 1982 to Taiwan that arms sales will continue. That was known to China also. But it said, and China was conveyed, that arms sale will depend upon the contingency of how much coercion China carries out, how much threat it brings about to bear on Taiwan. So that was one flexibility. And they assured them in the 6 assurances, number of other points which were there, they will continue to be with you in all spheres. You see, they established an American institute there, AIT. For all practical purposes, it's an NGO, but it is like an embassy in Taiwan. So that is the difference. Now, would you like me to continue a little more if I can just mention something more? Because I just wanted to, you see the Taiwan Relation Act. Taiwan Relation Act is one more which I wanted to mention, by which the defense pact is to exist with Taiwan till 1979. And it got replaced by Taiwan Relations Act. And America abides with that. They will provide them defensive weapons. But now shift in strategy. 40 plus years having gone back, there's a shift in strategy. So now America is supplying them offensive weapon systems also. You see, same thing with Japan. 70 plus years of the pacifist constitution, there's a change. They are increasing the defense budget. They are going in for long range missiles. So this one China policy, one by America and one China principle by China will remain as it is, and the interpretations will remain as they keep playing diplomatic games.
Thank you, sir. So I'll request the President to conclude the session for this evening, sir.
Thank you very much, Deepak. I think the question asked by General Deepak, who initiated the war cell, intelligence cell in the army during his checkered career. He has covered, he has asked him and he has covered comprehensively that one side you claim the one China policy and how there is a dichotomy. So this question encompasses many questions, and that has been very competently, very in a scholarly manner replied by General SPC. I have to thank also the delegates from foreign countries who have joined us today from UK, Belgium, UAE, Singapore. I'm sure these delegates must have enjoyed this session and learned a lot. I'm also thankful to the sponsors of this session, that is Premier Shield, TaxCo, and Premier Investigations. The understanding, which was known as 1992 consensus between the representatives of China Communist Party and Kuomintang, has been thrown to the winds. No, none of these two countries, and by far their supporters, they do not believe in this consensus. And I think 1992 consensus has just become a waste paper. China's military exercises in the waters around Taiwan show how China is interested in Taiwan and is seen as a wider perspective for China. While principally all the nations accept one China policy. However, as I like to mention one line, there is a very strong dichotomy. There is very strong schism in this policy, by which these nations are having a relationship with Taiwan without establishing diplomatic relations with Taiwan. So there is a dichotomy as far as this particular policy is concerned. I will also like to submit that if NISSMAT had a say, I would advise Taiwan to accept General S.V. Singh as their principal advisor for all strategies and all action which Taiwan should take. It is a really very, very emphatic way he has indicated how Taiwan should act and how Taiwan should go about it. He has also mentioned in very compact manner as to what China should be, what India should be doing. We are thankful to you, sir, for a very, very learned, very, very scholarly presentation today evening. And we're sure that delegates who have attended this session must have learned a lot. As far as I am concerned, I have learned a lot. And I definitely acknowledge that this was a very, very comprehensive, and I think he deserved a thumping sort of clap from all of us. And it's an excellent deliberation. Thank you very much, General, as we say. Now, as far as the next...
Sir, may I request you, sir, to allow me to speak a few words, just to thank you, thank Team NISSMAT, and very special thanks to Inspector General Harjit Sandhu. He's a friend and he's made it a point to be there. And let me tell you, there's a lot to learn from him. He's an authority on the matters where he's dealing. So I'm very indebted to him.
We'll rope him in as one of our associates in due course of time. If Harjit Sandhu agrees about it, that is it. We'll try to rope in as one of our...
I'm humbled, sir. General SVP Singh, I always like listening to him. And now he has... I was going to praise him, and he in turn has started talking about me. He really... I personally definitely stand enlightened a lot, and it's always good to interact in such sessions because you always learn something. And
Yeah.
as I said in the beginning, for me, it is a great honor to see today Mr. C. Pal Singh sir, because I only heard his name, never met him in my service career, neither during CBI days nor Manipur days or later on. But at least today I see him as good, as close as it is, as if it is live. So definitely looking forward to interacting more on this. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Next,
And allow me, sir, to thank Deepak and Pawan also.
Thank you, sir.
our next webinar is scheduled on 30th September at 6 p.m. The subject is workplace ethics, tackling small lapses to avoid company crisis. Workplace ethics, tackling small lapses to avoid company crisis. We have selected this subject from the point of view that many a time, very, very small lapses result in a disaster for a company. We hope to have a very scintillating session here also, and two erudite scholars who are very well versed in the workplace ethics and lapses also, and know what are the lapses, shall be addressing this webinar. With these words, I again request all the delegates, please note down the date, the 30th September, 2022, 6 p.m. to 7:30, because the two speakers will be there. With these words, I close the session and thank all of you having come here and joined us in this interactive session today. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you, sir.
Looking
Thank
forward
you.
to the next
Thank
one.
you, SVP sir. Bye, sir.
Okay, bye.
Bye, Pawan. Thanks.
That also is my subject, so I will definitely be attending next one. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. SVP, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very well conducted, I must say. That's all.
I think,
It'll be on the YouTube, and you can pass it on to your friends also. They'll be available on the YouTube, sir.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Deepak, a special vote of thanks to you because we had a lot of interaction. And Pawan is the one who initiated me into this.
Nice.
Thank you, sir. I'll get to you on the
Thank
phone.
you.
Thanks, sir. Thanks.
Okay,
Okay.
bye.
Thank you. Okay, but it's so nice. I don't want to leave it, but one has to leave the meeting. I understand.